Hello, BookTube, and this is week 18, still catch-up week for the Future History Project, and this is for Isaac Asimov's 1956 novel, The Naked Sun. And it's another robot mystery, and it includes Elijah Bailey and R. Daniel Oliva. The R stands for robot, as MR stands for Mr. for a human. And they both join up again to investigate a murder. And this time, Elijah, short for Elijah, is sent to Solaria. It's the last of the most recent of the populated outer worlds, the spacer worlds, and it's a bit of an odd society there. There are 20,000 that live on this planet, and they each have, per capita, basically 10,000 robots each. A little robot crazy. And they do not like seeing each other. And we'll get to that in a moment. But Elijah is asked to go there through Dr. Fastlof. I'm not sure the pronunciation of his name. Who he met in the Caves of Steel. And it could become a sort of an interplanetary incident. So he is sent. He didn't have any choice in it. He is sent. But he's met by Daniel, his old partner from Caves of Steel, and they are to investigate the death of a roboticist who was bludgeoned to death, basically. But there was the only other person that was around or anywhere there was his wife. There is no murder weapon, and the robot that was in attendance was basically fried, brain-wise, because of the first law. It was not able to save a human. So the only person that the Solarians think that could have done it was his wife. Elijah is not so sure. He's investigating, but he's hampered because he can't see people. He can't see them face to face, and that's a big taboo on this planet. They do not like seeing each other, and they have a difference they call seeing and viewing through like a Skype, but it's a three-dimensional type Skype where you could sit down at dinner and you'd think you're really with the person, but you're not. It's just a holographic image. And they, as I say, they've got this taboo of coming in contact or even seeing somebody else. Robots are fine. And they do marry because they need to procreate occasionally, so they do come together on those occasions, but usually in a detestful way. And the fetus is taken away after, I don't know, I'm not sure if they give an exact date, but it's taken away, incubated in a farm, basically. And the children are raised by robots for the most part and taught to be for distance and not to interact as they get older. So this doctor was very afraid, that the roboticist was very afraid of seeing other people, like being in the presence of them. So they couldn't figure out how this could be done, other than his wife being the culprit. But Elijah does figure out what happened. I won't spoil it because it is a mystery, and that's the one thing, mysteries I don't usually spoil with the outcome. But let's just say he is successful, and he leaves and comes back to Earth. It's it's a good story. I enjoyed it because it talks about how in a way, the decadence of the outer worlds, the spacers, and they also live for about 350 years, Earth years. So they're long lived, but their society is quite stagnant, and the Solarians are actually working on an ability that they will never have to be, in with somebody else in the same presence, being face to face. And there was an interesting thing that I thought for 1956. It was interesting, and it was just happenstance that I think it sort of is something that is sort of relevant today to a certain extent. And I didn't even notice this when I reread it. I think probably around 2014 or 15. It might have been the last time I reread it, because the wife of the deceased is sort of when Elijah is viewing her. Elijah and Daniel are viewing her. She's just sort of coming out of the shower, and so she comes out naked, and Elijah is like quite perturbed by this, but she doesn't see any issue with it because they are viewing, not seeing. And she thinks that the society thinks there's nothing, any problem with it. But if they actually were face to face, that would be an issue. And I started thinking, well, actually, that's kind of interesting because it's never been really talked about. But there are, well, obviously, with the internet, there are camera sites. There's OnlyFans and videos that obviously is being done with lots of nudity and pornography. And I think very much so that that's the way it is, that the people feel comfortable doing this in front of the camera, but they wouldn't feel comfortable probably being face to face. So I thought that was something that sort of struck, that Asimov hit on, that really is only coming to its fruition now, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, so this is part 1 of week 18, because there's a short story following this that is called Mirror Image, which I'll be doing a video for as well. But yeah, it's a good story. It progresses again. The idea of Asimov is always putting in things about the 3 laws of robotics, and this is no different. It's a question too. It goes back to something that has actually been dealt with a little bit in the earlier robots short stories, where you can manipulate a robot or robots to do certain things, because you only give so much information, but he takes it into novel form here, and again, as I say, a murder mystery. I thought this time, like the previous one, his wife isn't really a character in here. She's mentioned, but she's not actually a character in the novel. And I thought, in the first novel, which was written in 1953, or published in 1953-54, she was very 1950s housewife-ish, if I could say that. And this time, the female, but I don't know if it's because Asimov had grown a little bit as a writer, or just because he was trying to depict a different society, that I thought basically the characters were a little more individual in here than they were in the Caves of Steel. But he was getting there. But in the female character, I thought was a little more, more unique. And it was, and as I say, I'm not sure if it's because of his uh, a better writing, like, being more confident and a better writing female characters, or just simply that he's describing sort of an alien society, even though human, but in some ways alien, different from from um, the Earth. So, and it seems like also too there was a lot more uh, equality between the sexes on this planet, and spacers. I get that feeling from this book than there is on Earth. But there's many reasons, I think, for that, and that could be a discussion in and of itself. Um, why the differences are in on Earth, and not just because of his writing or lack of writing ability of writing characters and relationships. I think there's a little more to it than that. And also, too, he continues, I did mention in the previous one, Elijah has a saying that he always says is Jehoshaphat, which is very, very sort of archaic in many ways, but it's interesting that 3,000 years in the future, not so much archaic, but it's definitely is not in general use these days, I don't think. And but who knows? In 3,000 years, things do come around. But I thought that was kind of funny. So anyway, that's week 18, part 1, The Naked Sun by Isaac Asimov. I'll see you next time, book 2.